Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm inviting you into my library while I talk about this book, The Four Agreements. If you've been around my channel, you know that in the year of 2025, I gave myself a reading goal to read or reread a self-development book every month. And I figured while I was doing that, I would share it with you. This is the 6th book of the year. So if you've missed some of the previous videos, I will be sure to link them down in the description box. Go and check them out. I've read some great books. This one also does not disappoint. This is a reread for me. I read this probably, I don't even know, the first time many years ago, and I've reread it since. So this, I believe, is my 3rd time reading this book, and it's that good, I think. The book is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It came out in 1997, but still holds true. It aged well. There's nothing that gets lost by time because the wisdom that he shares in this book is ancient. At less than 150 pages, it's a quick and easy read, but it's very thought-provoking, and I encourage you, if you pick it up, to not just rip through it real quick. Take your time, read each chapter, and then kind of sit with it for a little bit and think about what he's saying. I went very much in detail of this book in my blog post, which I will also link down in the description box. And it was hard to write because at less than 150 pages, I feel like everything he writes in this is important, and it's hard to summarize it without pretty much just rewriting what he wrote. So today, I just want to give you a very high level of the book. Again, if you want a little bit more, you can check out my blog. If you just want even more, just pick up the book. The first chapter does feel a little ethereal, maybe, and it might turn you off from the book, or it might not. I don't know. But it's a little out there. It does feel a little woo-woo. But even if you are not a woo-woo person, I encourage you, get through chapter 1. Think about what he's saying, it makes sense, and then just dive into the 4 agreements. The first agreement is the one that Ruiz says is the most important, and that if you can just focus on that and manage that you will go a long ways. And really, you can't do the other ones without sort of thinking about this one first, and that is to be impeccable with your word. Now, when I first read that, I was like, okay, yeah, don't lie, don't gossip. You know, if it's not true, don't say it. If it's not nice, don't say it, that kind of thing. But he dives much deeper into what he means. There are several paragraphs just about what he means by the word impeccable. And they're important. They're important paragraphs. So again, read it. But the idea is that your word is your energy. It is the way that you put yourself out to the world. So yeah, don't lie, don't gossip, but also making sure that what you're saying is truthful to you, that it supports self-love. You're not even saying anything negative about yourself or putting something out there that isn't true to yourself, and to do so without judging others. So just a couple quick quotes. I'm going to look down and just read them because that's the only way I can quote. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. So when he says your word, he's not even just talking about the words that come out of your mouth, but the words that you're thinking in your brain, which if you ever pay attention to the words you think in your brain, we can say some really mean things about ourselves and about others. Luckily, they don't always come out of our mouth, but they still do damage to ourselves. By hooking our attention, the word can enter our mind and change a whole belief for better or worse. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. It means you use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. He talks a little bit about the self-talk and the monkey mind. A quote here: "You can measure the impeccability of your word by the level of self-love. How much you love yourself and how you feel about yourself are directly proportional to the quality and integrity of your word." I don't even know what else to say about that. There is a lot to think about when you read this chapter. So it's not just about speaking the truth. It is about thinking the truth, thinking without judgment of others, of yourself. And that is much harder than it sounds. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. He says that the reason we take so many things to heart, why we take it personally, is because we all have sort of an overinflated sort of sense of self-importance, if you will, which I think is true. We all live in our own reality. We all see the world through our own personal lens. So when somebody else does something, whether good or bad, it really isn't about us. It's about how they see the world, how they interact with the world, and really most of the time has absolutely nothing to do with us, even if it feels like it is directed at us. And this is directly related to the first one if you think about how we talk about each other. And he gives an example. If a stranger were to walk up to you and tell you that you're dumb, you most likely would not think anything of that. You're like, all right, you don't even know me. Who are you to say that I'm dumb? However, if you've been talking to yourself, telling yourself how dumb you are, then that person walking up telling you you are dumb is supporting the dialogue that you've already had going in your head, that unloving self-talk where you weren't being impeccable with the word. And it feels personal because it validates what you were already thinking about yourself. That's why the first agreement is the most important. To share a couple quick quotes from this section. If someone gives you an opinion, don't take it personally, because the truth is that this person is dealing with his or her own feelings, beliefs, and opinions. When you take something personally, then you feel offended, and your reaction is to defend your beliefs and create conflict. You make something big out of something so little because you have the need to be right and make everybody else wrong, which is the not being impeccable with your word part. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. Now, we've all probably heard that little, I don't know, what do you call it, like to assume is to make an ass of you and me kind of thing. And that's originally, when I read this, where I thought it was going. But of course, it's a little bit deeper than that. So I'm going to start with a couple quotes. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. There's that judgment thing that was part of the impeccable word, right? No judgment. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. It is not important if the answer is correct, just the answer itself makes us feel safe. And the last quote that I will share is, we also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. True story. So Ruiz makes sort of the argument that we make a lot of assumptions because we are afraid to ask for clarification. And I think sometimes, yes, it is true. And sometimes we also don't want to be the annoying person who just keeps asking clarifying questions. You're just whatever. But I think a lot of it really isn't a fear of asking for clarification. I think just because we see everything through our own lens, that we don't even realize we're making assumptions. We fill in the blanks with what we're sure we know to be true based on our history of the world, right? Whatever we know, whatever we've experienced. So I feel most of the time we don't even realize we're making assumptions. We think it's the truth. So in that case, I would encourage you to pay attention a little bit more about assumptions you make and realize maybe when you're making assumptions and try to reel that in and ask clarifying questions. And the last agreement is always do your best, understanding that your best is going to be different on various days. On a Monday morning after a long weekend, you're at work, your best might be a little subpar. Come Wednesday afternoon, you might be firing on all cylinders and doing wonderfully. Day to day, our best changes. And one of the big focuses in this chapter is actually about doing our best as a way of self-care. So it's not doing your best, pushing yourself to get it all done at the cost of your own well-being. It's not about doing your best until you reach burnout, right? It's about identifying how you do your best in a way that also includes doing your best for yourself. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, read the book and it will make all the sense in the world. And the last chapter of this book sort of wraps it up with how to break old agreements, making new agreements. The agreements are essentially your word, right? Your belief, how you are putting yourself out there and how you're interpreting things. Again, small book, less than 150 pages, worth every minute to read it. And as an aside to this, there is also a companion book. This is the 4 Agreements companion book, using the 4 agreements to master the dream of your life. I picked this up. I have not yet read this. Read this 3 times. I have not read this. So this might be next on my list, not as an official bring it here, unless it's really good and I feel I have to tell you about it. But I feel like it looks like this might be a good one. It's actually like 200 in some pages. So the companion book is actually longer than the original book, but we'll see. I'm going to read this. Maybe I'll pop on real quick when I'm done and let you know what I think of it. But I'm going to say, if you're going to buy this one, you might as well get them both. I hope you are enjoying some of these self-development books, or at least just enjoying my summary of them and calling it good. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.